Hey guys, for the Bookkeeping Business Secrets Podcast, if this is your first time, welcome. If it's your second time or third time, welcome back to this podcast. My name is Bryce Tubbs. Now, based on this podcast, I'm sharing lessons I've learned from running my accounting and bookkeeping business for the last, it's getting close to 10 years now. We started in May of 2015, so it's July 11th, 2024 at the date of this recording. So, getting close to 10-year anniversary. Yeah, and it's been at first it was really challenging because I just didn't know what I didn't know. I started investing in a lot of different courses, programs, and just masterminds to kind of learn exactly what I didn't know and to get those skill sets I didn't have. And once it took me about 15 months to get to 16 to 17 grand a month in sales for bookkeeping and CFO services. So I share the different things we've done, and even then we mentor people to help them grow their business as well. So inside of this, I have a couple different things. So the rookie mistake that I'm going to talk about this week is going to be number one. When I first got started, I thought that the goal was to have as many clients as possible. So I was always thinking in terms of, okay, well, I need one client, I need two clients, I need three clients, four clients, five clients. And many people kind of make this mistake. Now, it's not that it's inherently a mistake, right? Because you want to grow your business, but the name of the game in the business is to make more money more effectively without necessarily having to work 1 billion hours a week, if that makes sense, right? So whether if I have one client, I'm making $1 million, or if I have 1 million clients and I'm making $1, right? I'm really going for which one is the least amount of clients to go make it. Now, within reason, if you're between 0 to 10K per month, you want as low and as few clients as possible, right? Because oftentimes you're gonna be working your job, so you need to make sure that every single time you get a client, you're hitting a meaningful amount of money that allows you to be able to go and leave your job. I always like to talk about one of our students named Melissa Hilliard. So inside of our mentorship program, we show people how to start and grow their business. She came to me and she had 31 clients. She was making about $3,500 per month. She had been in business from 2008 to I met her in 2022. I met her. And yeah, so that's a long time, right? I talk about my 10 year. I mean, that's 12, 15 years she had been in business and was still working a full-time job because she was only at $3,100 a month, right? So in terms of number of clients, she was killing it. But in terms of money, it's just not really enough. She had a pretty good job, and $3,100 is a significant pay cut for her. So when we started working it, we basically talked about number one, how to price out your service. Because she had clients that were formerly paying her $50 every quarter. So that means once a quarter, they would pay her $50. So for the entire year, she only made $200 for some of those clients, right? By the time that she was in our program, we basically got her, at least in the beginning, to 36 clients. It took about I'd like to say it took her about 37 days, and then by the time she had 37 days, she was at 36 clients. We added 5 clients in those 37 days, and at that time she was at $9,500 a month, right? So it doesn't have to take that long, and it's not always about the number of clients. So would she rather have 5 clients that basically added on $6,000, or have 30 clients that added on 3,100, right? It's not always about the number of clients. So just focus on how much revenue are you actually getting per client, right? So our goal, whenever we go after clients, we're always trying to go between $500 to $5,000 a month, right? Now, ideally you'd want to get clients for $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, at least in the beginning, so that you can be within striking distance of your bills. I generally recommend people try and 1.5x their bills in the beginning, and then they can maybe leave their job unless they have a good amount of savings inside the bank. But yeah, it's not about the number of clients. It's oftentimes just about the revenue that we're making. The second thing that I want to talk about today, when it kind of slides into a business lesson, I actually wrote it on my phone. So I have a YouTube video playing. I wrote it on my phone, so let me pull it up real quick. Okay, so in life and in business, you always need to invest a little more than what you're either expecting or you're comfortable with. So this is time, money, energy, etc. And so I was reflecting on this last night because, I started doing a lot of stock investing in the last probably 1 to 2 years, and in the past I've never really invested enough money when I was correct. So it's like I would always be directionally correct, right? When I say always, like over the long term, right? Um, but it was never quite enough of a meaningful number so that when the result came, I actually made a significant amount of money from it. And it was very interesting for me to kind of like think about that and like to understand it, right? And it wasn't until I started like putting in larger chunks whenever I was like more correct that I actually like started making significant money, right? Mm-hmm. It's the moral of that story is like when you have the right thing and you have momentum in your favor, go all in. So this can actually be like applied to your business, and like this is the reason why it was like a lesson for me was because I applied this in my business, but I didn't apply it to this new domain of like investing for me because I am newer to investing, like active like investing and trading like stocks and stuff. You know, that's just something I'm just new. I've just been interested in for like a long time, but now that I have the time, now that I have the money to do it, it's just like, oh, cool, might as well just try it. I've like just if it goes up in flames, it goes up in flames. You know that, in my opinion, that's kind of a good spot to be in life where it's like, you know, you just kind of learn, you can play, you do whatever you want. But in business, right, you can, it's funny. A lot of people, like, they have, like, these kind of, like, limits they place on themselves. Like, I only want to spend this much. I only want to, like, put in this much time per week. I only want to put in this much energy. But if you just, like, could just, whatever time frame you can allot to something, if you just maximize that consistently, every single day, if you give yourself like 6 months, like 7 months of doing the right things consistently, you would be at six figures. Like it's very interesting. The internet made it almost impossible not to have a business that does at least 10K per month. Like, I know that sounds crazy, right? Because they talk about like the business failure stats, but those business failure stats really in a lot of cases are more driven by brick and mortar or traditional types of businesses where you have a large amount of risk that's involved. So when I say a large amount of risk, like imagine if you're opening up like a McDonald's. You have to spend 2 years working at McDonald's. Plus you have to be able to at least have $1-2 million you have to like invest into actually being part of the franchise. Plus you'd be able to go and like buy the land underneath it. Plus you'd be able to go and like have the monetary or like the loan or whatever to go and actually like build the building and get the actual like equipment inside of it, right? If you don't have those stuffs, or if you had that stuff and it doesn't kind of work out the way you do, you run out of money, so you got to stop. But if you think about for an internet business, the only real expense you have for an internet business, especially an online bookkeeping or online accounting business, the only real expense you have is like a couple software tools where if you're just getting started, like you don't really need that many software tools. Like you might need like 2 or maybe 3, right? You might have your laptop, or if you have a desktop, like that expense, but like more than likely, even before you started the business, you already have paid those off, or you're in the process of paying it off. So I mean, you can technically, you know, I guess lump it into like the cost of starting this business, and then you know, social media is free, or like you can get like an advanced version of social media, which can cost like $150 a month, right? There's not that much expenses. The only thing that would cost someone to fail is if they gave up. So it's like if you can just like focus just long enough, like you'll be successful inside of this thing. It's just about like really, really spending that time to go. And that's again why it's on top of like there being low expenses with the internet based business, you can just expand your sphere of influence large enough to brute force hitting 10K per month. Okay, so let's say that's gonna take you 10 clients at $1,000 a month to go and hit 10K. Okay, well if you talk to 500,000 people, you're probably gonna find 10 people that are willing to pay you $1,000 a month, right? Before the internet, like that was not a possibility. That was just very, very challenging for you to be able to do. But nowadays we have access to the internet where it's like it social media platforms do kind of like block your ability to do certain things. Like you can't just message like 1 million people on most social media platforms, right? You're gonna get like messenger blocks and just stuff like that. But you do have the ability to, if you get good enough with like content, messaging, having a team in place, you can message a huge high volume of people and be able to brute force your goals. Like that's one of the secrets to my success was I just brute forced my goals, right? Especially when it comes to like LinkedIn, even for like the mentorship program. Like if you think about it, for our mentorship program, we get a significant amount of people from our YouTube channel as well as like our Facebook group. Well, think about it. I have 40,000 people inside of my Facebook group. It's very unlikely that with 40,000 people, you're not going to get a pretty good, significant amount of interest for whatever you're selling. You know? So it's like you can just brute force your way to success and be able to the only thing that stops you from like hitting certain goals is like your capacity. So like how many consultation calls can you deal with? How many clients can you deal with at one time? How many, both from a workload perspective, a customer support perspective, as well as like a like sometimes you have to do like weekly or bi-weekly or like once a month calls with people. Like how many of those can you do and can you manage, right? If you have 1,000 clients, you're probably not gonna be able to manage that by yourself, right? So it's all about like the capacity you have currently at that moment in time. Cool. And as well as like energy, like it's just, growing a business, right? I talked about brute forcing. Now, brute force takes energy. Now, if you're tired after work, like, I would actually recommend maybe taking like a 30-minute nap. Now, I know that sounds crazy. Like, what can I really do in 30 minutes? I'm tired. Like, if you're, there's some people that are like just tired spiritually. Like, in their soul, they feel tired, It's just been so long since they've had like good sleep. Maybe they have like, breathing problems when they sleep, you know what I mean? But just try and do a 30-minute nap. Like, it works so well. For me, right? Anytime that I'm tired, I just do a 30-minute nap and I can brute force whatever I need to do. But it's like you have to be able to consistently go and just attack. Just consistently just attack for a little bit of time. Move things forward for your business and just do that over like 6 to 7 months. It's like really all you need to go on like even if you don't make, let's say you don't make 10K in 6 months, which I'm not promising that if you're doing this on your own, you have no mentors, you have nothing, like it's probably gonna take you a lot longer than that. Like first 6 months I was in business, I had the most money I made like in a month was like $2,300, and like majority of that came from like a cleanup with like a 3-year duration. So I basically charged this guy like I believe it was like $1,700 for a 3-year cleanup. That means I was charging basically $36 a month that I cleaned up, right? And it's just like, so if you're expecting like, I'm gonna be at 6 figures in 6 months with no help, it's like it probably won't happen like that. Like I'm not trying to be mean, I'm not trying to kill your goal. I'm just telling you the truth. Like I'm not in the business of lying to people, so I'm not gonna lie to you now. That's why a lot of people like get support and like get help. Like in my first year in business, I ended up like spending $35,000 on like courses, masterminds, like mentorships, like anything I get my hands onto in order to like figure out like what did I need to do to actually go and like find success. And like that's all that it was. So I just focused, paid for mentorships, brute force the heck out of it, and then just stayed consistent. And then here we are almost 10 years later, still doing the exact same thing, right? And like, yeah, I don't know if you saw that. Like, there's another podcast I talk about. Like I basically took an entire week off. Like when I say like a week off, like I did nothing, and my business still grew without me, right? Because my controller was able to actually go and do some consultation calls without me, and it was just like I could run. Like literally, like when your business becomes an asset, right? You don't really have to think in terms of I have to spend this much time in it, or I have to retire. And this, like, it doesn't matter. It's like it's running without you. All you are doing is just collecting a check at the end of the day, essentially. Collecting a check, and like if you want to talk to your clients, you definitely can. In some cases, I love talking to my clients. Some cases, I just want a break. So it just depends. I found this. It looks like a little pendant at this salsa club. I know you can't see it, but I don't know what it is. It might be some diamonds. It might be some cubic zirconiums. Feels pretty light though, so I mean I'm sure it's probably cubics. I'm gonna have to go take it up to my local jeweler, see what they say, and then get a second or third opinion, and kind of go from there. Wouldn't that be cool if this actually ended up being like actually valuable? There's a lot in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these things. So I'm sure it might be some cubic zirconium. It doesn't have a lot of weight to it. But wouldn't that be cool? Might have just picked up like, I don't know, $400,000, $500,000 off the floor. I get paid to dance. Almost every time that I go to this specific club, I like either find like money on the floor. Like I found like $100 bill like on the floor one time, or yesterday I found this thing. So it's like, maybe I should go there more often. I get paid every time I go there. Awesome. Well, hey, this has been the biggest bookkeeping business secrets podcast. I'm Bryce. Thank you so much for your time, for your attention. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Talk to you next.